Hey, so today I had been logging to a lot of websites, and this is a common problem, right? Like every time you log into a website, after your password, they're asking for the secondary auth. Like it can be like either an email or SMS or OTP or call, or sometimes there is like in this case like a Okta YubiKey. So these are all the secondary mechanisms, mechanisms, sometimes also called step-up authentications, where you want to give additional security so that you are authorizing the user to log in. Let's say your password is compromised, you still want to use a secondary defense mechanism. And most of the banks do this by default now. And it is recommended, if you haven't done that, to set it up. But the point of my exercise today is to figure out, assuming that let's write the assumptions, right? Assuming assumptions with you have all of this access. You have access to all of these secondary auth, which assumption you have to figure out which one should you prefer, which to prefer. Okay, and we will base this on few factors. First one, I wanted to greener, meaning the lowest impact on environment. It can also mean reliability. Like for example, if one of the options, like let's say a SMS, may be less reliable than email, we will consider that, but that's one aspect. The third aspect is cost to consumer and cost to provider, meaning the person who is giving us this access. In all of these cases, there is no cost to the consumer. Even when an SMS is coming, I don't think any of the SMS providers are going to actually charge us money anymore these days. So I'm going to consider this as NA. Cost to the provider, yes. And we're going to stack rank on these aspects and figure out, next time when you get a SMS auth, this secondary auth, which one should you prefer? Yeah. Okay. All right. So first, let's go through the list of options. Options, wiki, authenticator app. Authenticator doesn't matter who is the provider. Authenticator sometimes is Okta, sometimes is Google, and we can have other providers. But an authenticator app is something like you open the app and there is a code that is cycled through every 60 seconds or so, and then you put that code and that matches, and the backend has to match that one. Only then you are authenticated. If you guys don't know what is an YubiKey, YubiKey is like a dedicated hardware which you can put in, and it generates like a unique hash, and that unique hash will be used, and it is every time you press it, you'll get a new unique hash, and that will use as a secondary authentication. It's a hardware device. That produces creates a unique hash. This is software. This is software app that creates a unique OTP. Let's reduce the size a little bit here, and reduce the size a little bit. Okay. Yeah, email is like you guys all know about that. Call is like physical phone call. This might actually cost you money based on your phone plan. But I don't think anybody is using phone plans which are counting minutes anymore. I'm gonna also count that as a cost. Okay, actually let's change to a spreadsheet because it's easier to compare. And the way we're going to do is we're going to compare all these options against these 4 attributes and see which ones are in the top. And if 2 of them are the same, then we'll give the same ranking to both of them. So the first one, email. Speed of email, let's go through speed and then reliability, cost to provider, and finally come back to greener because that's the most subjective one, or have to consider other aspects. For all of these, I think the speed, Ubiki stands out first because there is no, you are not making an API call, you are not talking to a backend. The Ubiki is with you. You press the button and then you authenticate, and the authentication on the hashing mechanism happens on the client side. So Ubiki, I think, is the fastest one. Second, I would say Authenticator app, because Authenticator, the code keeps on refreshing, and you always have the app open, and if you don't have to wait for the call or go to the SMS or anything. There is no backend call before the first contact. Yeah. Between SMS and email, I think SMS is faster. SMS is faster, and email is next, and I'll put call as the last one because call takes time. Like call usually has to occur from you start the call, you say okay, call option, and then it has to go through the exchange, and then they have to call you back, and your phone has to ring. So I would think speed is for calling. This is the slowest one. Okay. So the second aspect, reliability. Reliability means, to reiterate, that it works as expected. Like if you try this 10 times, it works 10 times, like without hiccups. Like you would expect it to work. The 11th time you would have reasonable confidence that it works. In this aspect, again, I think call still comes out to be the slowest one. Ubiki has never failed me. Ubiki always works for me. I still put it as number 1. Authenticator app, one thing that the reliability problem is that because they keep on refreshing the token, they keep on. So I type in the number slowly, and by the time the token actually goes away, gets invalid. So it's not itself that the mechanism is unreliable. It's just slow, and sometimes you get unnecessary wastage of time. So let's put it at 2. SMS, I think SMS and email, I think they both come about the same time. There has been cases where I missed SMSs coming for me. So I'll put this again at lower than email, but there has never been cases emails for these codes are missing, but there is junk mail, and then it can also mean that email is not like 100% reliable communication mechanism. So let's put these both at 3. 3. I think both of them are equally at 3rd reliability. The other aspect is cost to the provider. Like how much does it cost for the service provider? Like let's say a Chase Bank or like SoFi Bank or like your PSC electric grid company to provide this service to you. Let's talk about first. Again, I think of Ubiki. Once it has been provided to you, like the physical device has been provided to you, there is no cost other than the software authentication part of it. There's no cost for the provider. So I think this one again goes down. When I'm talking about this, I think I realized that we also need to consider cost for consumer. And here you need to have the physical device. And sometimes these YubiKeys, even though you are authenticated with one service, you can't use it for the other. For example, I can't use my LastPass YubiKey for my work YubiKey. So this, in this aspect, this will actually be the costliest one. So let's put this at 5. But coming back to the previous topic, for cost of provider, so YubiKey is the cheapest one for them. Authenticator app, I think once the app is created and then they have a mechanism and the software actually works, there isn't much to do. Like the keys keep on generating, and then and it can all be client-side code. There shouldn't be even any backend code for the initial the 6-digit key to be generated, and then the authentication part, I think, is the same for all 5 of them. So there isn't any extra cost. So I think this is also equals to 1. Yeah, this got to be the calling a person has to be the costliest one, because you have to have you are actually going through like an exchange and making the phone call. So I would think this actually costs money. And SMS also costs money. Like you usually go through a third-party provider like Twilio. This also costs money, but probably less money than making a phone call. So I'll put this at 4. Email. All the companies have their emails, and there are established mechanisms to contact customers. So you are not creating a new mechanism, but there is a cost for delivery for email. I would think it's on par with SMS or a little bit lower. So let's keep it at 4. Or 3. Yeah, because SMS is actually going through the network. Email is all through the backend. Like you have probably your own Exchange server or some other provider. So that probably is cheaper. For cost to consumer, I think email there is no cost to it. So let's put it at 1. There is no cost, and there is no cost to receive an SMS. 1. There is no cost to receive an authenticator message. And also there is no cost to receive a phone call most of the times, like unless it's like a weird phone plan, like you generally don't be cost by the number of minutes that you are used anymore. So this is all. Only YubiKey has some cost to the customer. Okay, so let's talk about greener. Like what do you mean greener? Like this is the lowest impact on the environment, right? Like on the amount of resources that you're using in terms of what do greener mean? Like, okay, let's cite it here. In terms of storage, network calls, battery life, or any other aspects that can cost money in terms of servers, in terms of actually network latency, that actually requires us to create new data centers. Anything that costs us. So in those aspects, anything that has an impact on the environment, I'm going to call that as has the lower impact or higher impact on greener. So of all these mechanisms, email needs to have storage. Like I don't think anybody actually deletes emails anymore. So assuming that you are not deleting emails, so the storage keeps on adding up. So there is a storage aspect to it, and there is a network call for the email server itself. So that's also costs. Battery life of the devices, or like the power or the the electric power, so that also counts. But I think that's negligible across all of these, it's probably the same, exactly the same, or maybe call might have a little bit more. So yeah, calls will have more because you are using the phone resources and other. So I would think email has storage impact and network calls. So I will put this as, let's say 3, and then adjust it as needed. 3. For let's go with YubiKey, my favorite one. So 1, yeah, there is no impact at all. Like once you get the device, there is no impact, and you are not making new network calls, like other than the authentication part of it. 1. Authenticator 2, there isn't, I mean, you have to install the app on the phone, and then they have to keep on cycling through. You are using some CPU on the phone, but nothing, unless you actually use the code, you are not making even a network call. So I would think this is at least maybe equal to YubiKey, but because it's an app and it's running on the phone, so let's put it, and it's running it continuously. Like you open the app and I have my authenticator app, like 7 different services, and all of them keep on cycling through. So there must be some impact on the CPU. So let's put it at 2. Okay. Now, yeah, SMS. Yeah. There is no storage involved, but there is network calls through different providers, and then it actually has to go through other things, and there is a little bit of impact on the battery life too. So yeah, I would put it at 3. And it is a device, like it's fire and forget. So only unless you don't delete SMS messages on the phone, which probably nobody deletes, it's only on the client side, that SMS. So in this regards, email is a little bit worse than that, because the server side too, and every place else that you are downloading your email, you still have the email copy. So there is a little bit more storage requirements for email. Okay, finally call. So getting a call means that you are actually, the phone actually rings, and there is an impact on the battery life. There is no impact on the storage unless you are using like a wipe. I think it's at least it could be on par with email on the impact on an environment. So I would put this at 4. Okay, so there we go. We got this matrix created. Okay, with that said, let's come back and do the final statics. So first, if you have a chance and you get a chance to if you have a chance to use it, use YubiKey. That's the default. Like it stands out in all the aspects, except there is cost to consumer. It is one-time cost, and hopefully your company provided it, or like you spent like $10 and you got it already. So you have a bunch of them with you. So if you have a chance, use YubiKeys. That's clearly the first place. I think the next place goes to Authenticator. If Authenticator app is like, if once you set it up, there is some configuration cost to it. Not everybody can set it up easily, but once you can set it up, it always works. So second is Authenticator. But most of the companies don't actually provide either of this, unless they are like tech savvy. They don't provide either YubiKey or Authenticator options. They will either provide email, SMS, or phone call. Let's see which one stands out. Which one of these 3 options is better? There are more 4s here, and there is only 1 4 here. Call is definitely the bad option. Okay, avoid calls. And out of email and SMS, I would say prefer SMS, because there are less number of 3s, and and 2 4s in email. So SMS, email, call. All right. So there we go. Next time you have a chance to use an authenticator app mechanism, choose in this order. Oh, am I missing something? Is there any different preference for you guys? Like, let me know.